It was inevitable, as the Milwaukee Brewers have officially lost their 14-game winning streak in the final game against the Cincinnati Reds. However, Pat Murphy's master plan has been executed. We're going to be breaking it down, going over this game here in this video, as well as what this game meant for the upcoming remainder of the month, as well as heading into a very important game against the Chicago Cubs. Ladies and gentlemen, it was a fun ride for that 14 games, but we still have a lot of ball left to play for the remainder of the season, and we know this Brewers team now has the opportunity to start a new win streak. We're going to be breaking it all down here. Before we do jump into it, though, very quickly, we know that just over 98% of you guys watching right now are not subscribed to the channel. If you're looking for a spot for all of your Milwaukee Brewers news, we have it all right here for you guys every day, all the time, and every bit of news will be coming your way. But we need to jump into this game because the win streak is no longer. The Brewers lost in the final game to the Cincinnati Reds, who have not been swept this season. But this is something that Pat Murphy really expected here, in my mind. And I'm going to kind of jump into why here in a few moments. But I first want to kind of go over the game a little bit. And obviously, this game definitely wasn't the best one here for the Milwaukee Brewers. Kind of a very similar one to yesterday. Of course, a major home run in the top of the ninth to get us up 2-1. Ultimately, with a few errors, a few pitching ideas that kind of led to the Brewers' loss. It was something that, we had to take on, move in the next game, and something that the Brewers did in this game really set us up for a good spot heading into the next few series. And like I said, we're going to jump into that here in a few minutes, but at the end of the day, this game, the Reds just played a pretty good game, a pretty good ball game, and especially coming in here knowing that they were about to be swept and not having done so for the entire season, they kind of had that kind of momentum as well, like the Brewers have had with the win streak throughout here, and ultimately, they played a pretty good game as well as had some pretty good at-bats. So, it is what it is at the point here of this game, but the Red Series is a very good learning curve for this Chicago Cubs series, and especially heading in to the next few games where we know we have a doubleheader heading into tomorrow with 4 more games at the end of this series as well. This is one that the Brewers are really going to need to lock in on and really come out here and continue to play the ball they have even before the Red Series, even before that series. And going into it, this is going to be a very important game to do so. And I wanted to pull up the rotation here, the batting order here through this game. And a few moves were made throughout the lineup, of course, and, once again, as I mentioned, the game could have been gone a different way if there wasn't an error there in the bottom of the 9, which ultimately tied it up, but at the end of the day, things like that happen. I much rather have it here in this game than any game against the Cubs, and as one of you guys mentioned, I do apologize, I cannot remember who it was, but they said they would happily sacrifice this game if it meant a sweep for the Chicago Cubs, and I absolutely agree. This is a game that I think Pat Murphy may have seen your comment because they almost seemingly did that intentionally, and especially one thing they did in this game, which we're going to jump into here right now, certainly did that for the upcoming series and to make sure this team is as good as they can be. But ultimately, as we saw, William Contreras, the home run there, was really the big highlight of this game for us and ultimately got us to go to extras, which at the end of the day, probably wasn't the best thing if the Brewers were going to lose anyways, but it gave them a good opportunity to kind of go ahead and get another win if it was opportunity there. But one thing about this one here was the pitching. And of course, as you saw, Jose Quintana, very good game today. 5 hits, only 1 earned run, 4 strikeouts, and went 6 1/3. But ultimately, really was, not just him and the other pitchers on this game. The entire, pitching duel that we had today with Abbott as well. He pitched great, and going into this game, the Brewers knew that they were going to be short on arms. And that's something that we've been able to see over the past few games, especially with the sheer amount of pitchers coming in to these last few games. This was going to be a tricky game for this Brewers team. And I feel like Adam McCalvy had it right here as well, a pretty kind of good idea of where the mindset of this Brewers team and Pat Murphy was. So doing lefties in Cincinnati, Jose Quintana matched Abbott through 6 innings and 6 scoreless innings, 3 hits, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts, and 89 pitches. A huge outing with doubleheader tomorrow. Ashby, Koenig, Mears, McGill, and Uribe, all having pitched in the first 2 games of this series, were not going to be active today. And we knew that kind of heading into this game that we would not see really any of these guys. So when it came down to the way that this game was played out, and especially the way that the bullpen was coming here later in this game with just Jose Quintana, Myers, and Grant Anderson, coming into this game, we knew that this was going to be a tough go for whoever was pitching here, especially against the Reds team that was looking for the win that we knew. But the Brewers made a very smart decision, especially Pat Murphy. You know that this was his mindset coming into this game, that we're going to have to rest a lot of the bullpen. And regardless of what happens in this game, this series right now is not at even close to as important as how this next Cubs series is going to play out. So saving your big arms for the next series are definitely a major win for this team, and especially coming into a doubleheader tomorrow, we're going to have another roster move, another pitcher likely join the team for that doubleheader, and having all of these guys, and I'll go back to it, available for the next 4 or 5 games really over this next series, and also heading in to later in the month with the Giants, the Diamondbacks, and the Blue Jays, this Brewers team is saving what they can, and I think that's a big reason why we also see DL Hall on the IL right now, Logan Henderson on the IL right now, Jacob Mizrowski coming off the IL, to get these arms rested up and giving you the opportunity to come into this later half of the season and stay healthy, stay ready to go in any given opportunity. So let me know what you think about the mindset of this game that Pat Murphy did. Were you okay with losing this game necessarily, even though it lost a 14-game win streak, and even though, was one in franchise history, one of the greatest, ultimately, that is not important, and the team has spoken about that, and the team has kind of emphasized that they don't care about a win streak. They're just looking for wins, looking to have fun as this team, and ultimately looking to get to the postseason, which is, at this point right now, pretty much guaranteed. And Christian Yelich, I'm very excited to see what he has to say about this kind of idea, and, he was the guy that we've spoken about here in the previous videos, coming out with, we don't care about how this team, comes to a win streak. We want to win. We don't care how it comes. We're just here trying to get wins and get better, and that's going to be a big thing coming into this Cubs series. Come in here, play your game, dominate the games like you have been, and also put the pressure on the Chicago Cubs, knowing that they need to win these games. You have a lead, you come in here, you play your game. Don't fall into their game. And I'm pretty sure, I'm not in the dugout, so I can't say for sure, but I'm 99% sure Pat Murphy has got this team locked into this next series, and we're going to see a very, very good Milwaukee Brewers team. Maybe some of the best that we've seen here in this season. So let me know what you think about all of this news and kind of game updates that we have in this video, and let me know what you think the mindset of the Brewers was going into this game with a 100% short bullpen heading into a very important doubleheader game tomorrow. I'm going to guys have you updated tomorrow as well with these 2 games. We're going to have some moves coming out. We're going to have a lot of updates regarding what's going down tomorrow, so we're going to be breaking it all down here on the channel. Maybe a 2-3 video day tomorrow with that doubleheader. We're going to have it all here for you guys, but that's all I got in this video. If you did enjoy, give it a like, hit the sub button as well. I'm signing out, though. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.